So everybody's here? We're good?
We're good.
Excellent.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, hello. Guys, welcome. First of all, welcome to your JHU School of Medicine. This is your reunion and alumni weekend. I'm Amy von Lange. I am the chef at Schola. This is my very good friend whose name is John. He's going to be assisting me today. A little bit about yourself, John, real quick.
Real quick, when I'm not your sous chef,
Right.
I work for Baltimore City Schools and I travel a lot and I get to taste lots of food.
Yes, so he is and he grew up in Maryland. So that's another great reason to have you here. So today you guys we're going to be doing a cooking demonstration for you. So we're going to, if you guys have any questions, remember to use the Q&A section on your chat, okay? And then what's going to happen is Hopkins is going to relay the questions to us, and then we will actually answer the questions. You'll read the questions, and then we'll answer the questions.
Okay.
So good, so far so good. So
good to go.
All right, so guys, this is a big weekend in Maryland. It's Preakness weekend, horse race. I haven't been to Preakness in a very, very long time, nor probably will I anytime soon, but they closed the infield this year.
No.
They did.
No.
Yes.
Oh, well. Okay.
All right, well, just because of COVID and
But
everything.
I can't think of a better meal for Preakness than soft shell crabs.
Absolutely, it's Creams, Maryland. It's early enough in the season where you can still get soft shell crabs. So today we're going to be making some soft shell crabs, and we're going to be making some cream of crab soup. We're going to kind of walk you through this. If you have any questions, like I said, please use that Q&A chat box, and we will relay all the answers to you.
Okay.
And you're good to go here?
We are good to go.
Okay, I keep saying good to go.
Let's start. So
All
we're
right.
starting with soup.
So we're going to start with the cream of crab soup. Very popular in Maryland. So is the Maryland crab soup. They're just different. The cream of crab obviously has a cream base. The Maryland crab has a tomato base usually. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to start with some bacon. If you are a vegetarian, don't feel the need to start with bacon. You can just throw some butter in. We're going to start with some bacon. And what we're going to do is chop this down. We're going to render the fat out of it. We're going to transfer it onto a pan, and we're going to save it for later so we can actually use that as garnish. Okay?
Perfect.
So what's going to happen here is this fat from the bacon. Like I said, if you are a vegetarian, just use some butter. You don't have to use the bacon, or a pescatarian. You don't have to use the bacon. But if you are a bacon person, go ahead and use bacon. Bacon makes everything better.
Could I use sort of non-strict oil, corn oil, or something like that?
Of course you can, yeah.
Okay.
The reason we're doing this is because we are going to be making a roux today. A roux is a thickening agent. It's the base of a lot of sauces, like the mother sauce, the bechamel. It starts out your cheese sauce. You start with half fat, half flour. You'll remember a roux from gumbo, probably. We start our gumbos with a roux. It's half fat, half flour, cooked down to a nice color, and then we add everything else, and it just keeps everything nice and thick. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start sautéing this bacon for you guys. All right, I just have some applewood smoked bacon. Whatever you have in the fridge is fine. If you have prosciutto, you can use prosciutto. It's not very fatty usually, but prosciutto, pancetta. If you have anything like that, you can definitely use that.
But you want the fat.
You want the fat. I like the fattier. So I would go pancetta before prosciutto, but you know.
It is what it is.
So we're going to saute this down. While we're doing this, we're going to talk a little bit about soft shell crabs. So, John loves soft shell crabs.
I do.
I do too. I love them. I think they're great. You can only get them during a certain time of year because that's when they shed their shells, and so it's a tight window. However, if you're desperate, you can get them frozen. I got these today from the local seafood market in Fells Point called Sal & Sons. They always have rockfish, they always have crabs, they always have clams and shrimp. They're a great seafood market. So if you can find a local seafood vendor, I don't know if the grocery stores are carrying them. I have never really had luck getting them. And you can also, like I said, you can get them frozen. But if you can get them fresh, they're much better.
So these are alive, correct?
These are alive. If I touch this guy a little bit, he's going to move a little bit. So People get a little upset about being inhumane. These have been on ice. They're very, very cold. They're not going to feel anything. It's kind of like lobster. If you stick them in the freezer before you know, steam them, then they go to sleep basically. So these guys are really, really cold. The soft shells, I'm gonna clean those for you while we're kind of doing this demo. So
You know, and it's very interesting because I've always thought of cooking a soft shell crab like wrestling, sort of a spectator sport.
really,
Really, I've never ever really cooked a soft shell crab.
well, you're going to today.
I know, I'm excited.
So we're gonna kind of multitask here. We're gonna make a cream of crab soup. We're going to saute some soft shells. In your recipe list, you do have a pan sauce if you guys want it. You don't have to. I prefer a soft shell on a potato roll. I know it sounds crazy with lettuce, tomato. If you're a mayonnaise person, mayonnaise, and then just a little bit of salt, pepper. That is like the perfect way to enjoy a soft shell crab, in my opinion.
I agree.
However, I do have a little sauce. If you're doing it for dinner, if you want to be a little bit fancier, just saute some corn, some tomato down, some white wine, some garlic. You want to throw a little bit of basil in there, you know, whatever you want to do.
Even do maybe if you want to get really fancy, maybe an aioli or something like that.
Yeah, you can do an aioli, just with homemade mayonnaise. I would never do that, you know that.
Well, I know that.
No, I usually do, if I'm doing crab cakes, I'll make my own aioli. I'll do it. An aioli is basically just an emulsion. It's like a mayonnaise. It's basically homemade mayonnaise. An emulsion of egg yolks, some oil, a little bit of acid, usually a lemon juice. I like to make an Old Bay aioli for my crab cakes, so throw some Old Bay in there, just because it's got so many seasonings that are so great. You got the celery seed in there, tons of salt. It's just a really good. So while we're doing this, I'm going to cut some veggies for the soup. Like I said, if you guys have any questions while we're going, let us know. I'm not sure how many people are in Maryland. Oh, this is getting a little hot. How many people are in Maryland, or how many people are connecting from, you know, another state? If you couldn't get soft shells, I completely understand. If you can, that's great. I think like a Browse Market or a Wegmans probably would have them. But like I said, I like to just visit as long as I have it somewhere local. For all my seafood needs, I usually, if I'm not doing it for class, because we get wholesale for class, I usually go to a local place like Salad Sun. Yeah. So this guy is cooking down.
Okay.
Right. So I'm not going to sit here and cook down bacon the whole entire way. I don't want you guys to get bored.
How much oil should you have?
So I'm going to need a little bit more fat in this for the roe. So what I'm going to do is take some of that butter that I'm going to use for the soft shells. So
Nice, maybe half a teaspoon in there right now.
about a half a teaspoon. I want a little bit more. So I'm going to I have some butter over here that has already been melted down.
Butter's good on anything.
Butter's good on anything. Butter is better. That's what everybody said in culinary school. So what I've done at this point, we've cooked the bacon down, removed the bacon. Now I'm going to put a little bit of butter in here. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start chopping this parsley, the celery, but I'm also going to start adding some flour in here to create a roux. Okay.
And you don't want to brown your butter, do you?
No.
No. So just,
It's going to be a little bit brown from the bacon fat, which is totally fine. But you just want to kind of.
and then you're chopping your celery maybe into what is a quarter of an inch slice?
I don't like big chunks of stuff. I mean, if you guys like something that's more rustic, like go for it. Chop it as big as you want. I am not a big fan of, big mouthfeel vegetables in a way. I like a puree better. So I like everything a little bit smaller. This is really up to you and what you want to do. I'm gonna also.
So here we go. Here's a question.
Yay, no question.
And can you recommend a good source for frozen soft shell crabs? Because Montana is a bit far from the Chesapeake Bay, and that's from Herb Swick.
Herb Swick. Herb. Okay, so I have got to look at that, but I think that what's the place in Lexington?
Fadley's?
Fadley's, I was
Yes.
just saying. You should check Fadley's. I know they do crab cakes. I'm not sure if they do soft shells, but a lot of local markets now from Maryland will ship them to you. And if you do like a little bit of research online, I would highly recommend a Maryland company that will do the frozen soft shells for you. However, do a little bit of research. But Fadley's is always good. My dad lives in North Carolina, and I know they have crabs down there, but it's just not the same. They boil their crabs, which is totally fine. But so I will have crab cakes shipped to him for his birthday every year, and I get them from Fadley's.
Right.
But there's a bunch of people that do it.
And they have 24 hours.
Yes.
So it's not like it's been sitting on the plane.
No. Right.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do before we add the flour, we're actually gonna saute the onion and the celery in here. I'm sorry, the shallot and the celery. I actually have onion. Another thing we like to talk about when we're cooking, if you don't have everything that's on the recipe and you're like, oh man, I don't have shallot, but I have an onion, go ahead, use the onion. It's totally fine. If you have green onion, use the green onion. We like to substitute.
What do we always say? A recipe
It's
is
a
a suggestion.
Exactly. All right. So I'm going to saute this down until it's, a little bit translucent. And once that's done, then I'm going to start whisking in some of this flour. Any other questions?
No, so far we have answered every single
Oh my
question.
goodness.
We are that thorough and that good. Can you imagine?
So this is the second cooking class we've done for JHU School of Medicine. We did one last year. And I remember a couple of years ago, I don't know if it was School of Medicine, but we've done a bunch of stuff in Hopkins, but we did, it was a parents alumni weekend. We did a pasta class for kids. So I had all of these kids in a room in Hopkins. It was hilarious. We had like 50 kids, and it was like 3 of us making pasta, and it was really fun. So we have continued our relationship with Hopkins, and we really appreciate you guys being here today. So very fun. All right, so this is getting sauteed down. Now what I'm going to do is add a little bit of flour to this. I already have some on my tray here because I'm going to use this to batter the actual the soft shells.
And I love that. A handful.
Yeah, there we go.
There it is. Done.
So now I'm going to take my whisk and I'm going to just kind of get this together. It's going to look weird. It's going to be crumbly. Roots are a little bit odd. So it's going to be a little bit crumbly, but that's okay. All right, so now I'm going to start. So in your recipes, it does tell you to kind of cook that flour smell out, which
It's not a long time cooking.
it's not a long time cooking. If you were doing like a roux or a gumbo, you take a long time to labor of love. This is not that long, a couple minutes maybe. I can smell the butter. I don't smell a lot of flour. And because I mix this with the celery and the onion, it's not as
Exactly. You're not going for a brown roux like you would with a gumbo.
So now I'm just going to slowly, you don't want to do this on too high a heat because the oil will separate from the fat and it will just become a blocky mess. And I am not making as much as your recipe calls for because
It's just you and me.
exactly. All right, this recipe also calls for seafood stock. If you have seafood stock, that's great. You can substitute with chicken stock, really not a big deal. And if you don't have stock, you can use water. You're just gonna have to season this a little bit more than you regularly.
So here's another question. And it's
Okay,
a good question because there are 2 schools of thought here.
okay.
Which do you prefer? Maryland crab soup or cream of crab?
Well, I'm gonna just
And
throw it.
why?
I'm just gonna throw it all crazy to the wind. I like them mixed. I like half Maryland crab and half cream of crab, and you can get that at a lot of restaurants. There's a place down in Canton called Not on the Half Shell, and they do a half and half, and they do half Maryland crab and they do half cream of crab, and it's really good because the cream of crab is so rich for me. So if I just have the cream of crab, the Maryland crab is awesome, but sometimes I want a little bit more. So I do like them mixed. Because it kind of mixes really well together. It's like taking seafood stock and putting it into cream.
See, I never thought of that. That's
Oh,
a great
it's really
idea.
delicious, yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys can see probably this is getting a little bit thicker. All right. There's not a lot that goes into this. I do like the celery in this. I think the celery gives it a really nice flavor. There is celery seed in Old Bay, along with a bunch of other spices. So you do get that. However, I just think it's a really nice flavor in there. You can add corn to this. You can add, I mean,
any fresh summer vegetable.
exactly, whatever you want. I would recommend, and then it kind of turns into a chowder if you do corn and potato. Corner, like, but so basic cream of crab, basic cream of crab. If you want to add, bump up the recipe, you can. So this is getting.
So here's another question. Do you like to add crackers to the soup?
Afterwards?
I don't know.
Not during. I like crackers with soup just because, or like a side or a piece of like bread, just to like dip a little
You know
bit.
what I really like? I mean, I'm really showing my Maryland roots. The Maryland beaten biscuit.
There you go.
And which is, I think that's a class unto itself because there's no leavening.
Right.
None at all. You just beat it and beat it and beat it until it's blistered, I guess.
Do you make those often?
I do not. I have seen
John loves to eat, but he does not cook that often. However, he knows how to cook. He's one of those people that look like this and don't really eat that much. However, he really loves food, and you have been a great person to have with me because you're so good at this.
Thank you. Okay, a few more questions. What is the best place, oh, that's a really good question, to look locally in Baltimore to get lump crab meat?
That's another preference. I'm just going from what I know. There's Gibby's, still has a place on York Road. There's, what else? Sal and Sons, obviously downtown. I'm trying to think, Ocean Pride, I think, in Towson sells it. Depends on what area you're in. And honestly, if you go to somewhere like a Wegmans or a Growls, it's really expensive, but you're getting quality. And, and then I've got a bunch of like local just seafood people, like Chris's Seafood, they do steamed crabs, but they also sell shrimp and crab. So that's a good place. I mean, if you tell me what area you're in, that would help me a little bit, but
North Dakota. No, I'm teasing.
no, but I mean, if you're in, there's a place called Madonna Seafood, like way up north Maryland. I can't remember what it is. They have great, like, regular crabs. I don't know if I'm pretty sure they have a market there. Most crab houses have a little market where you can buy crab meat, soft shells, that kind of thing. All right.
Good. And do I have to use lump? Could I, maybe I'm on a budget, could I use the?
I just use,
Flour.
you can use claw meat. Claw meat is traditionally sweeter. Okay, so it's a little bit sweeter. It is less expensive. I think that I love jumbo lump, and I'd rather just have it like in a crab cake with not a lot of filler. So why waste? Because it can get up to like $45 a pound.
Oh, yeah.
So don't worry about that. You don't have to have the premium crab, and you can always get the. I didn't say this, but you can get imported crab for a lot cheaper. But all right, so this is nice and thick. At this point, I'm going to. Actually, I don't have a.
What do you need?
I need some water. Can you grab that?
Yes, we have water.
So
right
I don't
here.
have the stock. At this point, this is when you'd start adding the stock. I don't cook by recipes, so I'm just gonna kind of check. Right, awesome. Perfect. So if you wanted to add stock at this point, this would be a good time to do it. Because this mixture is nice and thick. We're gonna add just a little. Like I said, I'm not doing a lot because like I said, it's two of us. And we're probably not gonna eat this. Not because it's not delicious, but we cook so much. I definitely gonna eat the soft shells, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this way you add a little bit of stock. Let's add a little bit of seasoning. Old Bay has a ton of salt in it. So before you go ahead and add salt, add the Old Bay, season it a little. Don't go crazy because like I said, there's a ton of salt in this. A little bit of cracked pepper, not a ton. What I like to do is have some spoons near me so I can taste this as we go. All right. How are we on time, John?
We are fine. It's 2:20.
2:20.
It's 2:20. Time is flying, but this is half the battle right here.
The soup, yeah.
The soup.
Everything else is very, very easy in this. So I'm gonna actually just turn this off because this is a nice thick consistency. A good way to tell that your soup is done is to coat the back of a spoon. So it looks like, this is not a spoon, but.
Hey, Mr. Helper.
All right, so we're going to, as long as it kind of coats the back of the spoon, coats the back of the spatula, if you guys are good. All right. So that was my business partner who just came in here not realizing what was going on. All right, so.
What's next?
So at this point, you can go ahead and add, if you wanna start picking through your crab, be very, very careful. You don't wanna mash it. I used to work in a kitchen with a bunch of guys and I have to yell at them all the time because they would mash the crab meat and it would drive me nuts. You have to do it very, very gently, pick through the crab. And even if you do get a little bit of shell in it, it means that it was prepared with love. That's what I always say. Right, exactly. So even if there is a little bit of shell in it, don't worry about it. I think that means that you can really tell that it's homemade.
It's like grandma used to make.
Exactly. Grandma with all the shells.
Exactly.
All right, so how's everybody doing? Do we have any questions so far?
No, we are good.
All right, you have any questions?
No, I don't. This is still warm. This is warm.
So this is warm. I turn this down. This is a really great consistency. This is the cream that I'm looking for. I use milk. If you want to use heavy cream, you can. I just think it makes it a little bit thicker. If it gets too thick, add a little bit more milk, thin it out, add some stock to it. It depends on what you like. There's no correct way. Like some people like a thinner soup, some people like it like wallpaper paste. You know, like it depends on what you like. I like it kind of halfway in between. So I don't like it too thick. So I will thin it out and it will get thicker if you just let it cool. At the end, just kind of add a little bit to it, thin it out, bring the heat back up. And at that point, that's when you're gonna add your crab.
Excellent. And once again, the stock would be seafood or vegetable or chicken.
Yeah, you can use whatever stock, depending on what your dietary restrictions are. If you don't have seafood stock, don't worry about it. You can definitely use chicken. If you are a pescatarian, you can easily buy seafood stock at the grocery store.
All right, Amy, here's a question, and it's a really good question. When did you start Schola and why?
Oh, well, my business partner and I, Jerry Pellegrino, I'm not sure if anybody is familiar with him. He's owned a bunch of restaurants in Baltimore, and we've been friends for over 25 years, which ages me tremendously.
No, it ages Jerry.
So I think he was kind of to the point where, I mean, restaurants are hard work, and we just decided this would be really way more fun. I was an executive chef doing a bunch of catering for like weddings and corporate events, which are fine, but it's like the same thing all the time. So the creativity level is just not there. And he and I just got together and said, hey, why don't we do this together? And that's basically how it happened. It happened 6 years ago. And June 10th is the actual day. So in June 10th will be 6 years. We made it through COVID, which has been amazing. Especially a lot of it has to do with you guys, contacting us for virtual classes, hanging in there with us, rescheduling classes. It's been really great. You guys have been a great community to work with.
And you still do in-person classes?
We have been doing in-person classes since September. Very, very limited availability, like a very limited seating. However, now we're starting to bump up a little bit. We've been doing 12, now we're bumping it up a little bit to 14, sometimes 16. It depends on the class. Private events, we do a ton of private events. So if you're interested in that.
And you still practice the social distancing, the
Yeah,
mask wearing?
everything. We just want everybody to be comfortable. We're both fully vaccinated. John's fully vaccinated.
Yes.
So I don't feel that uncomfortable. However, I'm very respectful of our everybody that comes in here. I will wear a mask just to be respectful of everybody. Everybody kind of works with each other on that.
And you're part of my pod.
Yes, we're potting. We were potting together. So next, if there's not any more questions, so what I was going to say, so thin, thick, remember, taste the soup before you put any of the crab into it. Taste it, make sure you get a good taste of it. A really good thing I like a lot is a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of Tabasco sauce. I like that in almost any soup that I make.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it just adds that extra level of flavor.
You know, my grandmother even added, once it was finished, a little bit of sherry.
Sherry's great too. That's a great point, John. Thank you for bringing that up.
Exactly.
Sherry's a great addition to this. Just a little bit, not a ton, and then cook that alcohol out of there, or
Just in essence.
just in essence, exactly. Sherry's great in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Tomato sauce.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just
one of those
it's just
things
a
that-
little bit, and it's just got this really nice flavor to it. So thank you for bringing that up. Any questions
So,
before
what
we
are some
move
of
on?
your favorite things to teach people to cook?
And I've been to a lot of your classes too.
Yeah, can you go up with something? 'Cause-
I think, well,
I mean-
You have a really good Indian class
Oh, yeah.
that people I really enjoy. And it's, once again, that sense of community and everybody's involved and things like that. Your pasta class.
Oh, those are our most popular classes.
Yeah.
I love pasta classes.
Yeah, I mean, but once again, what do you like to teach?
Well, I actually took it's funny because we just had this class. Actually took a cooking class. I like to take cooking classes wherever I go just because it's fun and I get to see what other people do. I took a cooking class in Morocco, a farmer's market class, and it was really very cool. I learned about, I knew what the basic ingredients were before I went there, and we had taught the class, but then once you go there, like, these are like little tricks. The tagine and the preserved lemon. It's just a really cool thing to do. So if you get it, whenever I travel, I try to take a cooking class.
And you did bring that back here because you have Moroccan classes.
Yes, we do, absolutely. And we have these beautiful tagines. So that's a fun class. I like that one. Pasta's fun. I like the brunches are fun. They're really chill. They're Sunday afternoons. People are having fun, drinking some prosecco. We have over 200 classes, so it's really hard to pick your favorite child. But the farmers market class is really cool. They're starting up again. We take you around the farmers market. We kind of say, hey, what do you want to cook? And we buy a bunch of vegetables, come back and cook, and then sit down and community activity.
Exactly.
It's great.
True to fact.
Yeah.
Here we go, a few more questions. Oh, I got the answer to this one.
Oh, okay, so do you want me to read it to you?
No, but once again, I have an idea, especially for today. What cocktail goes best with this meal?
Anything. It depends on what you like. I would do, something light, prosecco or like a white
Absolutely.
wine.
But it's Preakness.
But it's very, of course, I'm so sorry.
There it is.
What is it, the black eyed
Black-eyed
Susan?
Susan.
Can you, and John, what's in it, the black eyed Susan?
Black eyes and Susan.
I have no idea what's in it.
I have no idea. It's
Yeah.
one of those Preakness
What,
drinks
he
that
gave the answer to it, but he doesn't know what's in it, so that's
they
fantastic.
can Google that.
I know what's in a mint julep.
It's
Kentucky
not the
Derby.
Kentucky
I
Derby.
know what's in a mint julep. Those are delicious. So mint juleps. Water.
Yeah,
No,
no.
just kidding.
Yeah.
So anyway, honestly, anything that you want to drink, you can. But I would go with something lighter, maybe like a rosé.
Yeah, definitely rosé. Summer, spring. Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
Good.
Where are you watching Preakness?
Where am I watching Preakness? On my deck.
There it is.
We're gonna bring the TV outside onto the deck, and we're gonna
Right after this.
absolutely right after this.
And here we go. See, the questions are rolling in.
Thank goodness.
Okay. What is one ingredient you could not live without?
Garlic.
Saffron.
Oh, really?
Saffron.
Oh my god, I love garlic.
Yeah. Well, that too.
Yeah.
Garlic
Well,
and-
salt. I mean, salt. is
Yeah.
very good.
I use saffron.
I use garlic like crazy. Okay. All right. Well,
Are we ready for the next step?
we are.
Okay.
All right. So I'm
So
gonna
it's
actually.
2:30.
Okay, so I'm gonna move this aside. All right. So hopefully you guys can see this. These are the soft shells. Okay.
And if you can't, let us know. And once again, they're just
I'm gonna move this just away so it's not a distraction. Okay.
moving just a little
And then
bit.
I'm gonna move this closer. Wait, does that work?
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
And
Excellent.
if we can't, let us know. We can readjust.
All right, let's see
And
my hands. Okay. So these are the soft shells, and they are, like I said, they are alive, but they've been on ice. They're very cold. You can see he's moving around a little bit. They're very, very cold. So they're not, you don't have to worry about them screaming or anything. So what we do here to clean these And if you don't want to do this at home, I completely understand. I was at Sal and Sons, not to give them another, boost, but I was there and he asked me if I wanted him to clean them, and I said no, because I wanted to do this for you guys on the screen. So, but usually people will clean them for you. Another thing with soft shells, a lot of people like the mustard.
Oh, I love the mustard.
Okay, I love the mustard
Love the
in
mustard.
steamed crabs. I don't like them in.
And what is mustard?
I'm not gonna tell you.
Okay.
It's poop.
It's also it's the digestive.
Right.
Yeah.
It's poop. So a lot of people like the mustard. Keep the mustard in if you like that. I like it in steamed crabs. For some reason in soft shells, I feel like it gets a little bit bitter. If you don't like mustard, just remove it, not a big deal. So what we're gonna do here with this guy, so I'm just taking some scissors. All right, so we take the eyes out, right, so you guys can see that. So these are gone here. And then I'm gonna lift to one side. We're gonna take,
Those are the yellows, correct?
yes.
Okay.
These are not good for you. Do not leave these in.
We used to call them the devil. when I was
That's,
growing
yeah,
up.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
So we take these out, and then you can see right here, this is where the mustard is. I'll probably clean that out, just because I'm not a big fan.
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Like I said, steamed, I don't mind it. In the actual sauteed crab, for some reason, I feel like it tastes a little bit better. So I'm gonna pull this out, and then I'm going to put the rest of this out.
Now, by cutting off the eyes, you've cut off the brain, right? The whole.
Well, that's a tiny little brain.
It's a tiny little brain, but once again, so it's not thinking, it's not hurting, it's not feeling.
You don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
All right, so now we're gonna lift up this part, same thing, I'm gonna get that mustard out of here just because I don't like it, you can leave it in. My uncle used to eat everything out of the crab except for the devil, but he eats the intestines, like it used to gross me out, but he's a very interesting person.
So while you're cleaning, I have another question for you. I have two questions.
Okay.
Okay, you decide which one you want to answer and what order.
The first one is, what's your all-time favorite meal? And then the second one is, what is your favorite kind of hot sauce? And this is coming from a true hot sauce fan.
Oh man, that's a very
You're
tough
put on the
question.
spot. Go for it.
I like mozzarella sticks. No, I actually do. My favorite meal, I don't know. That's a tough one because I really do feel like it depends on the occasion. Depending on where I am. I usually kind of base that on who I'm with and where I am. What is my favorite?
But you're still looking for freshness, for quality, you're not, right?
Yes, of course, obviously, yes.
Right.
My favorite meal, let's see. I am a big fan of lamb chops. I think they're delicious. All right, so I've got this guy cleaned now. Oh, I'm gonna take this guy. So. That's more of the mustard.
Or the mustard.
I'm not a huge fan.
Here's another question. I think I'd like to hear yours, and then I have a definite idea. Where has your favorite place been to travel and eat?
It's funny that you asked that because I did study in Italy, but honestly, my favorite place to travel and eat was Spain.
Really?
Yeah, I just had a great experience there. I loved it. We traveled all around Spain. I loved it. We started in Sevilla. Everything was just awesome. The people were so friendly, and I just had such a great time. And then I also took a cooking class there as well. All right, guys, so I got this cleaned. All right, some people take this apron off. You can take it off if you want.
We always had that removed, just because.
Just because.
I don't
So
know why, but
it's a lot easier to just use some scissors when you're doing this, okay? So now, very simple. This is not going to be complicated. I like a very simple soft shell crab. I like it lightly floured with some salt and pepper. How about you, John? What do you
Same. Simple.
And talk about your experience in Chrisfield.
Oh, well, growing up, we had a place on the shore, and we would go down to Chrisfield And, you know.
Which is like the crab capital of Maryland, by the
Of
way.
Maryland,
Yeah.
absolutely, because, you know, you wanted crabs for dinner. So
Absolutely, yeah.
So you would go to the houses, the packing houses, and you would see the crabs molting. And
That's pretty cool.
that was sort of, you know, they would blow up and climb out of their shells, if you will. But you would also see the women packing the crabs and picking the crabs, and it was a true wonderful Maryland experience.
It is. I mean, that's definitely a very Maryland experience. And you know, if you were going to do anything with this, well, I mean, what's your typical side for soft shell? I like a German potato salad, maybe a tomato salad. You know, tomatoes are still starting. I mean, July is when we're going to see some really nice tomatoes. Corn, obviously, sweet corn. Beautiful with some butter. As you guys can see, I'm just sauteing some butter down here. So we've got the soft shell.
So all-time favorite seasoning, I think we talked about that, salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper, maybe a little teeny bit of Old Bay, not a ton. Old Bay is very salty again. I don't want to really, I don't want to say bastardize, but I don't want to, you know, I don't want to over season this because this is such a beautiful flavor the way it is.
It's so delicate.
And I feel the same way about, you know, we do shrimp here a lot. You don't need a lot of shrimp. I toss them in some olive oil and some garlic, and I think they're so salty anyway. And they're beautiful, like just simple ingredients. I'm just a big fan of them.
Yeah, these are truly the snow cones of crustaceans. They're just so special and
I've never heard that term,
Oh,
the
it is.
snow
It is,
cones.
because
Yeah.
the snow cone in summer is just a
No,
special
you're
treat.
absolutely
It's
right.
a
I
special
think
treat.
that's kind of hilarious, actually.
Overwhelm the flavor.
Yeah. So I'm just mixing some flour. If you're really into breading, you can double bread these. You can put them in flour, egg, and then flour again. I'm just simply gonna just a little bit of egg, a little bit of flour, and then I'm gonna saute these guys.
Okay, a couple questions while we're getting that ready. Oh, let's see. What dessert would you recommend for this?
Smith Island cake.
Hello.
That's true, Maryland. Yeah, absolutely. Hold on, I gotta
And
do this.
if you don't have access to Smith Island cake, once again, you know, in summer, peach cake or something.
No,
like that.
honestly, a cobbler would be
Cobbler
awesome,
would
like a
be
peach or a blueberry cobbler.
Yeah.
I love cobblers, I think they're great. We do Chesapeake class and we do ginger cakes with some
That's
peach
good too.
preserves and ice
Yeah.
cream, which is really good. Fresh ginger. There's
Once
just
again, I just
so
think of
many
this as
things.
summer.
It
So
is, anything with blackberries I love.
fresh fruit, fresh berries,
With some,
cobbler.
maybe with some ice cream or some Greek yogurt or panna cotta is really good, even though that's, you know, not really Maryland, but it's kind of like, yeah.
Do you prefer lobster or crab?
Crab.
Yeah.
A lot of people I know do. A lot of people that I wasn't born here, but I still have spent enough time here that I do prefer crab. I love lobster. Don't get me wrong, but I think the thing I love about lobster is the butter.
Yeah.
The crab, I truly just love the crab. All right, so I'm going to. You guys can see this.
Good. Okay, so what are you doing? You're dipping it in some egg.
Just real easy.
And that's just raw egg, correct?
Just raw egg. No biggie.
Okay.
Right, and now I'm going to.
Flour.
I'm gonna flour this.
Okay.
Well, doesn't have to be crazy. My favorite part of the soft shell, what's your favorite part of the soft shell? Do you have one?
I don't. All of it.
The claws.
The
I
claws.
love the claws are my favorite. The legs and the claws because they're so crispy. All right, so I've got my butter going. I'm gonna, this is what my apron's for. So just gonna
Exactly.
leave that there.
And that's going to be very hot, correct?
It's going to be, it's not at this particular moment. So I'm gonna turn this up a little bit. I'm gonna let this sit for a
I just want to
minute.
sizzle.
Yeah, you want a nice. So I'm gonna let this sit for a minute and soak up the flour. Let the egg soak in the flour a little bit. Do we have any questions?
No, do you ever cook with avocado oil? I don't. But
You know what? I don't either. I love avocados. I just don't really cook with the oil that often. You can though, more than welcome to. And this isn't something that you're gonna sear on high heat. So you can definitely use something like an olive oil, a butter.
Mhm.
This guy's starting to smoke a little bit, so I'm gonna take this off.
Now you also put, and this is so my grandmother, some of the bacon fat in there, correct?
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Once again, it adds to that zest, that taste, that wonder. You know what else it reminds me of? Speaking of this time of the year, Chadrow.
Oh, which I don't really use that often, do you?
No, it's always a treat.
Chadrow.
Chadrow,
Nice.
once a year. I used to give it the Hopkins club.
Oh, nice. All right. All right, so you can see that sizzling a little bit. I'm gonna let that cook down.
What kind of pan is that?
This is actually a non-stick pan. For those of you that are not really proficient in the kitchen, I would definitely use non-stick. They're a lot easier to use. And I use them all the time if I want to do something quick. You can use stainless. I use stainless as well. I know how to cook in both, but if you are really not, if you don't cook a lot, it's really easy to use non-sticks, and they sell them all over the place. This one's not your typical dark. This is a lighter, and I can't remember what brand this is. I don't remember. Anyway.
Once again, you just did it. You're not.
No,
playing
I'm
with
not
it
messing with it. I'm not flipping it yet. I'm just gonna let it sit for a minute.
for like what, 3 minutes on one side?
2 to 3. This one's pretty small, and
Okay.
those soft shells are not ginormous.
So other than the John and Amy show, what is your favorite cooking show?
I don't know. This one comes really close. Okay, so I gotta tell you, and some people don't like her. I love Ina Garten, even though she's not like a professionally trained chef. Her hair could be on fire, and she would have a martini, and everything would be fine. If the food doesn't turn out, she orders Chinese food. I love Ina Garten. I think she's hilarious, and I really do like her recipes. I've used a lot of her recipes. I like Anne Borella a lot. I like her recipes as well. I mean, obviously, who doesn't love? Well, I don't know if I love him, but Bobby Flay is very entertaining. All those particular shows. But there are some really cool shows on Netflix. There is Chef's Table, which is very cool, which features an array of different chefs that are up and coming. Where's another one? The Salt Acid.
Oh, that.
That one's actually, I don't know if you guys have watched that. That's interesting, and she's a really likable person, and she travels and she cooks all kinds of things. Can't remember her name, but I like her a lot.
So for people, they want to know.
People?
Yes, for people who may be coming to Baltimore. Here's a question: what are some of or for people who live here, what are some of your favorite restaurants in Baltimore?
Oh man,
Oh, come on, we were just at.
that's like picking your favorite child. That's not fair.
It's very easy.
Okay, I'll tell you some of my favorites, but it's because they're very special to me, and they hold a lot of meaning to me because I've been going to them for years. Started out with family. I love the prime rib. We were just there. It's a special occasion place,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, it's not cheap, but I just love going there, having a martini at the bar, and then going to a table and having dinner.
You just feel special. You're dressed.
You're dressed. I mean, they've loosened the
Right,
dress code a
yes.
lot, which is kind of a bummer to me because it is still nice to go somewhere and get a little dressed up. And I'm always in a baseball hat, so if I get dressed up, it's a big
It's
freaking
special.
deal.
It's
Yeah.
special. Okay. So that's just beautiful. And the smell in here is just amazing. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to, while we're still talking, what time is it? How are
We are at 2:45.
I'm gonna just make a quick tomato garlic sauce for this. We definitely don't need it. Like I said, I would just go for potato bread, lettuce, tomatoes, salt and pepper. It's fine with me. And if a lot of people love mayonnaise, I'm not a mayonnaise person.
Like squeeze of lemon.
Definitely, that's a good point. Where is my lemon?
Lemon and some parsley.
Definitely some lemon. And then I've got some parsley right here.
Simple.
Very simple. I like Aldo's, which they're not open, Italian. A lot of these places I'm going to tell you are places I've been going to for years.
Yeah.
And people are always like, hey, where have you been lately? I'm like, my house. I haven't gone anywhere. So I'm probably not the person to ask what my favorite restaurant is. But, and it's all across the board. There's a Lebanese place in Federal Hill called Biblos, which is delicious.
Yeah.
People are from Lebanon. They're lovely people. The place isn't beautiful, but the food is awesome, and when you get out of there for $20, you're like, I just had a feast for $20. And it's BYOB, which is always good for me because tend to have more than one glass of wine, so.
So I'm gonna give you a choice, okay?
Okay.
What is your dream breakfast, lunch, or dinner? No, that's a hard question.
Well, I'm not a big breakfast person,
Okay,
although I
so-
do love a poached egg over anything.
Oh, yeah.
Dinner. I don't know. I'm gonna ask you first, and
I'm
then
gonna ask me first.
Yes.
Well, that's a hard question.
I know it is.
That's a very hard question.
That's
Once
like
again,
it's like picking your favorite
it has
child.
to,
That's
whatever
not-
it is, it's fresh, it's flavorful, it's in season.
True. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's a very good point. Yeah. You obviously want something that's in season. You don't want to get. I'm trying to think. You
This
don't-
in January.
Yeah,
It's
you
not gonna happen.
No, you want to get this fresh. You don't want to. If you have to get the frozen, I totally understand. And there's not anything wrong with frozen, but there's everything better about getting fresh.
Yeah.
Everything.
I'm gonna go, my favorite, as you know, is breakfast. Really, I'm a big breakfast person, so a poached egg or
Yeah, I like
Benedict or
yeah.
something like that, just the runny egg. That's, I love.
I love a poached egg over anything.
Yeah.
Like the you know another place I like is any like Wolf Charles like
Oh, yeah,
City
Cindy
Wolf.
Wolf, yeah, Charleston.
Charleston is like very crazy expensive, but the Petit Louis I really like. It's very casual. And speaking of poached eggs, they do a creuset ladon, which
My
is a
favorite.
salad with basically bacon and a poached egg on top. It's really good.
Perfect.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question. What is your favorite lunch, dinner, or
Here it is, yes.
yeah, put you guys on the spot. I love pasta. That's my downfall. I am a huge pasta
I
fan.
make pasta.
I love it. I
And
love a carbonara any day of the week.
There's another place, Soda Sopra.
So the super is
Speaking
right down
of-
the street.
Right
Yeah,
down the street.
yeah, I love it.
Okay, so you're just roughly chopping some tomato.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna saute this with a little bit of garlic. I pulled the garlic off because garlic tends to burn really easily. So what I'm gonna do is, and like I said, if you have some corn, you can throw some corn in here. The thing about these moist vegetables, if you throw a little bit of salt in there, that'll pull some of that moisture out. And then what I would do is kind of hit this with a little bit of white wine and cook that alcohol out. You don't need to taste the wine, it's just the flavor is really good.
So back to the soup. Here's a question I think that would apply. Do you ever consider using non-dairy milk? What do you recommend for vegans?
I still haven't conquered the vegan
Yeah.
quest yet. I don't know because I feel like the non-dairy milks are sweet.
Agreed.
So like an almond milk is pretty sweet.
Unless you make it yourself. Because, you know, if you get the box things, they add sweeteners to it. If you take cashews or if you take the almonds and just make it with
Cashew
water.
milk, right?
Cashew milk.
Cashew milk, maybe, yeah.
Possibly. I don't know. I'm not the expert.
So for vegans, I guess vegans don't eat butter either.
No. Vegetarian, maybe vegan, no. We'll have to experiment and look.
Yeah, that's a tough question for me, and I really need to remember to research that because every time we do a class, I do get a question about vegan or vegetarian. I'm okay on the vegetarian. With the vegan, I get a little stumped.
Yeah.
And I do have a girlfriend that is vegan, and we actually do a couple shows without John, and she's really good to come up with that. I'll ask her, like, hey, Eve, and she knows very well. All right, so at this point, I would hit this with a little bit of white wine.
We did a similar sauce. We did a show the other day with salmon.
A show. John calls them shows. I think it's very special. Whenever John is on air.
It's a show.
All right, so this is really simple. Like I said, you can add corn to this. I added a little bit of garlic. You want some shallots. You can see how this is thickened up.
It's beautiful.
It takes a little bit of heat, a little bit of salt to pull that moisture out, and then this will thicken.
So once again, what did you add? Butter, tomato?
Butter, I had some of that bacon fat left over. You can use olive oil. I actually use some oil too, butter oil,
Avocado.
and then avocado oil, tomato, garlic, and then now I'm just gonna.
Okay. Where do you get your fresh veggies in the summer?
Well, if I get up in time to go to the farmer's market, you know what? Farmers markets are great, and they used to be really great for farmers and people in the community. now I feel like the farmer's market has gotten so expensive, and it is really important to support local. However, oh my goodness, they can be really, really expensive. So, Sprouts, I like Sprouts. I mean, this summer, if, like I said, go to a farmer's market if you can. There's Waverly here, there's Under 83.
There's Cross Street on Saturdays.
Oh, Cross Street has
Cross
one?
Street has a market.
There's one in Fells Point, but it's not a lot of vegetables.
No.
Yeah, it's a lot more jams and pre-made stuff. But yeah, I mean, I honestly still go to the grocery store. I don't want to tell you that, but I do, because I don't like getting up at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I do.
He goes and gets my vegetables for me.
Yeah.
How's that? Yeah.
Next time.
So do you guys have any more questions? I think we're
What's your favorite thing? We have about
every
9
favorite.
minutes.
Oh, that's great. Well,
Favorite thing to make for your family?
that's a good question. I'm gonna sit here like this. I like doing anything, pasta-wise, I like grilling up steaks and lamb chops and doing something. I love anything on the grill. I do like to do a lamb chop and just have some like an orzo salad, like a fresh orzo pasta salad on the side with some fresh vegetables, cucumber, tomato, and a lemon vinaigrette, something simple and nice and cool for the summer, and then something really beautiful like the lamb chops. Maybe make some tzatziki for it. I love Greek food. I think it's amazing. What else really came from my family? It's, roasted shrimp, whatever they want.
Whatever they want.
I pretty much make whatever they want because whenever I'm there, I'm cooking. I'm like, come on, just one time. Can I just not have to do this?
Okay, so we have about 7 minutes, so we're starting to wrap up things.
Correct.
Okay, what's the soup? How's the soup?
The soup's fine. At this point, obviously at this point you would have probably added your crab to this. All right, I'm gonna get a bowl and I will plate this for you.
Okay.
Or actually just grab one of those little ones.
Rackets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's just a perfect lunch right there.
All right, so, okay, so I'm gonna reheat this. This is pretty thick. And like I said, if you're reheating, do it on low because you don't want anything to separate. If it's too thick, add a little bit more cream or milk or even stock. Get that going. Usually I'm a lot cleaner when I'm cooking. I feel very bad about this. But. So the soup's going.
And our questions have stopped because people are, I guess they're ready for their own crabs at home. Oh, that's beautiful.
All right, and then at this point, you can garnish with a little bit of salt, pepper, Old Bay, whatever you want. I'm just gonna take a little bit of parsley. You guys have oyster crackers, you're good.
Beaten biscuits.
Beaten biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that's pretty much, that's
it.
it. There you guys go. Let's see. Okay.
Well, this has been a great audience today.
Yeah, you can't hear anybody, so you don't really know what they're talking about.
But we get all the questions and they've been really good
No,
questions.
they have been really good questions. And it reminds me, sometimes I get so zoned out with cooking that I forget that people, hey, we need to talk about this, we need to talk about that. So I really appreciate the questions because I just sort of kind of get, like I said, in my cooking zone and don't even think about it.
Exactly. So,
Oh my goodness, what time is it?
it is time to go.
We have to fill 5 more minutes.
No,
Come on.
we're
No, we don't.
free.
We're
Yeah, we're
okay.
free.
All right, guys, thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend. If you can catch Preakness, catch Preakness. If you can eat some soft shells, eat some soft shells.
If not this weekend, soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.